All right, let's just go over some final finishing touches we can add to really polish it off. We'll kind of take a look at how everything's comping. We'll make sure the blurs are all good, small color correction adjustments we want to do. We also just need to figure out the grain, make sure that all the grain is coming back, the original plate grain where we can, and then in some areas we'll need to bring back our custom grain pass and bring that back on top. First thing I want to show you is this cool trick I've got to adding a flare. It's not quite the same as adding lens elements using optical flares or something where it's a very visible lens flare. This one gives us less of a flare and more of a chromatic lensing effect. And when it's carefully mixed in, it has a great organic feel. We're going to take the exterior work because I want the background already in. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate that. We're going to bring it up on top, kind of where we've got our Atmos, kind of on top of all the work. And the very first thing I'm going to do is invert this, -100 on the X and the Y. We're going to need a levels on it. We're going to need a VR chromatic aberrations effect. We're going to use this one. There's other options out there and there's other plugins that you can install, but this one comes with After Effects and I've used it for a lot of things, honestly. It doesn't have to be just for VR. And if I take the trick to using it is if you take the horizontal field of view and vertical, bring them all the way down to 60, then you get something that you expect to see with a normal chromatic aberration effect. Obviously the default values are way too much. But if I was to say to put this at -1 and 1, you can see something a bit more subtle. What we want to do actually for this scenario, I'm actually going to not do subtle. I'll do like a -20 and a +20. Want something really exaggerated. I might even play around with where the point of interest is, because I actually want to sort of separate these channels so that they kind of go horizontally next to each other, something kind of like that. And you want to go pretty large with it. This is probably a bit too large. But the goal is to separate the channels large enough that if I was to put a fast blur on it and crank up the value by a lot, you start to get this nice kind of rainbowy feel to it. Yeah, something kind of like that. If I was to take this, put this on add blending mode, for instance, and put it on top, obviously this in itself is adding a huge atmospheric quality, way too much. What I want to do with this one is just kiss it in just barely. So I'm going to take a levels before it does the other effects, really bring it down, because my goal is for this to be interacting with the brightest parts of the image. So it's kind of being caused by the lights that are in the scene. And if I turn off the blur and the chromatic, you'll see that it's just those lights that are really picking it up and the rest of the things kind of just fall away. And that's kind of what we want with this. And we want to selectively grab just the brightest parts. And if I control the values on the chromatic, I can control how rainbowy this feels. But that looks nice, something kind of like that. You can dial this way back. At the end of the day, it should be something pretty subtle, maybe just 30 or something. I'm gonna go ahead and rename it while I'm here. We'll call this Custom Flare Soft. We're actually gonna do another one of these. We'll call it Custom Flare Hard. And then this one is going to have a lot less blur on it. And this one will also have a lot less of the chromatic. This is going to bring a little bit more detail into this effect. I can tell immediately that the way that these lights are showing up down here, it's way too intense. But I do like some of the other effects that are happening in other parts of the plate. I love what's happening kind of over the plant down here, getting this nice kind of effect coming from probably from the exterior out there. I might actually do a little bit of masking here. I also want to just mask out kind of the middle region too a bit. They're going to be very soft masks. And I just want to pull it off of areas that we don't want anything to be distracting. I'm going to go ahead and take a snapshot with those turned off. And here we can see what these are doing. And this will really shine when you see it in motion. It's also worth taking note what it looks like with the matte bars on. You can see kind of that bright bottom one kind of goes away once we turn this on anyway, so it's not a huge issue. It's also worth having a screenshot of the original plate. It's worth having that on hand as well, just so you can always compare against where it started.